Hello, everyone. Mary Davidson from EP Events here to tell you a little bit more about my business. So I created this presentation for a networking group that I'm a part of and figured why not share this here in case you wanted to learn more about me and my business. So my business is EP Events, which stands for Events with a Purpose. And essentially we are an event planning, management, and production business. So I just hit my year mark in business. And it has been a wild ride this last year. I'll talk a little bit more about how I got here and why I started this business. But before I deep dive too much, I think it's important that you get to know me a little bit more personally as well. And so here's just some pictures from my personal life. So this is my husband and I. We live in Washington State. We have 2 cats. I am a proud cat lady. If you follow our podcast, Better Events, with my colleague and I mention them quite a bit. So we spend most of our summer weekends at the beach. My husband has a pretty cool hobby. He is a skimboarder. There's a picture there of that. So when I'm not working, I like to say my hobby is being his biggest fan. So there you have it. Another hobby of mine, like I just mentioned, is the podcast. Here it is in case you want to look it up on any major podcast platform. And then I also received my MBA last year. Continuing education is important to me, and I try to implement that into my business. So then back to business. Purposeful events are our jam, which is the truth. So my vision for EP Events is to plan and manage purposeful events. My event planning style is very simple. It's very why focused. I like to make sure that we focus on the goal, the reason that we're having the event, and not lose sight of that throughout the planning process. That can be really easy to lose sight of, especially when you start adding the glitz and glam of an event, I would say. So that is what sets me apart, remembering the reason behind the event and how that affects the return on investment for the client. So what type of events do we do? Well, there's a handful of them. Basically, there are fundraisers like galas and luncheons, virtual events, corporate events, and community events. So essentially what I say is I'm not a wedding planner, but we'll do most other types of events. And this is a photo from before the start of EP Events at my previous role. So today, for this purpose, I am going to focus on virtual events because that is still something that is relevant. And then if you're interested in learning more about the other services I provide for the other events, please feel free to reach out. But with the virtual events, so obviously a lot of these have been happening this past year. If you listen to the Better Events podcast, then we talk a lot about predictions, about what we feel like is going to come to fruition in the next year. And I still do think there is going to be an aspect of virtual, whether it's hybrid or whatnot. We've learned a lot of valuable lessons from the virtual event world. So these photos are kind of less thrilling than me showing you photos of an in-person event. But virtual events are important. They do add value. And I will say something I do try to do is get my clients out of Zoom. I think people have Zoom fatigue now. So if we're doing a virtual event, that's something kind of that we push for depending on their needs, of course. And for these virtual events, specifically for fundraisers that have happened in the past year, all of them have exceeded their fundraising goal, which is something that I'm proud to share. And also, though, it has absolutely been a team effort to make that happen. And something that I like to say about virtual events is that I've trained myself on the tech and production background, but I will also be there for these clients or the person hosting the event once they go back to hybrid or in person. So it just creates a more long-lasting relationship when you bring on an actual event planner for these types of events. EP Events has been involved in 20 events in the last year. So events were happening during COVID, and even some aspects of these virtual events, like I said, will continue to happen. And so it has been just full of excitement and learning experiences, and excited to see what the next year brings as well. So when I say we, what do we mean? If you follow my business, a lot of it is me, myself, and I, Mary Davidson. And so something that I am really proud of and excited to share is my network of event professionals that I've built and been able to rely on when needed. So we support each other in many different events. This team is located across the country. And so whether it's in person or virtual, complicated, larger events, we can pull them off because we all come together to make it happen, which actually provides a whole lot of experience in one room. We love to support each other. It's just a lot of fun. And so in these sort of circumstances, I'd be happy to make that happen with other team members. I conduct about 50% of my business this way, in the sense of working together with other event professionals on larger events, and it does work out really well. So I'm sure that you've heard the title event planner. That's typically what I call myself, but here's the high level of the services I offer, which is basically more than just the planning of an event. My favorite part of an event is actually the day of implementation, so I can see the event come to fruition. And so you have the event planning, which I said is kind of pre-event planning, event management, which is overall project management for the event, event production and coordination, which is that day of implementation where you actually make the event happen. And then we also provide specific needs. So let's say you have someone doing all those things for you, but you just really need assistance with like the vendor management for your event, or you need help creating a floor plan. We are more than happy to help with just those specific needs rather than the whole planning process. So there's different levels of service that we can provide there. This is just a super quick glance at a floor plan I've created for an event that happened last month. So we're happy to do things like that for you as well. So if you hear someone talking about an event, that would be a great referral for me. Chances are there is some role that I can play, whether they need full event support or just a piece of the puzzle, whether they have a full-time event coordinator, manager, professional at the organization or company or not. Chances are they may need some assistance. And so a great referral for me is also other event planners. As I said, half my business involves these connections. And so those are wonderful connections for me. So if this applies to you, if you've heard of people in this situation, please feel free to connect us. That would be amazing. And lastly, I'd like to leave you with a quick testimonial. This was from an event that happened in April of this year, which is 2021. And this event we pulled off in less than a month. And so I'm just going to leave this here for you to go ahead and pause the video, and you can read the review if you so choose. But if you would like to connect in any other ways, here are some ways that you can reach me. We have 5-star reviews on Google. Feel free to check them out. Follow me on Instagram, pretty active there. LinkedIn, happy to connect with me personally on there. Podcast, I mentioned that a few times. Feel free to follow us if you're interested in any aspect of the event industry. I do have a website, and then you're welcome to reach out to me via email as well. But thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Happy to chat more, and have a good rest of your day.